Canterbury Trails Farm, and tonight, or today, actually you have to get started a little bit ahead of dinner, so today I am making cowboy beans. There are all kinds of variations on this recipe in cookbooks going back to the late 1800s, as far as I've found. This might be older. Obviously they had to come from somewhere. But this is the recipe that I prefer, and as all my recipes are, it's pretty versatile. So if you're missing an ingredient, don't feel like you can't make it, and probably as I go along here I'm going to tell you things you can use instead. So the first thing I've done, I'm going to be feeding 4 people, and 2 of my people eat like 2 people each. So let's say this will be about 6 to 8 portions when we're done. And I'm not talking like, you know, the half a cup things, like when you buy a ho-ho or something and 1 bite counts as a serving. I'm talking about a bowl full of food. I will also be making some cornbread, and I'm also going to be making a lemon cake for dessert. So there's, you know, things that'll go with the bowl of cowboy beans. So the first thing I'm going to do is going to brown a pound of hamburger. And I've been doing that. And then you want to dice 1 onion. And I'm not going to get picky about the size of your onion. You know, you have these recipes, they say small, medium, large. It's like, good grief, what is that? Just an onion. Whatever you got. If you don't have an onion, you can use minced onion. Just, I'd say, 1/4 of a cup of minced onion. Dehydrated onion, which is the same thing, it's minced onion. If you don't have any of that, you could use about 3 tablespoons of onion powder. If you don't have that, you could use about 2 tablespoons of onion salt, but you're going to want to cut out some of your salt if you use that. If you don't have that at all, you could use a pouch of onion soup from like Lipton's, or you could, if you use my recipe, I make my own, that would work too. Or you're going to leave it out. I like the onion though. While we're doing this, you need to have preheated your oven. Start your oven to 350. You're also going to need a Dutch oven or a large pot to put on the stove if you don't have a Dutch oven. I'm putting the Dutch oven, and here's my Dutch oven, into the oven. My Dutch oven has legs. It's like a tripod because it's used for cooking on the fire. So I can't do my Dutch oven on the stove top. If you have a flat bottom Dutch oven, you don't need the skillet. You can do everything in the Dutch oven and then put it into the oven. So it just depends on what you got. But I have the tripod one, so I have to do the meat and stuff in a skillet and then transfer it. So that's doing that. You will have needed to already cook about pieces of bacon and cut it up. And I've already done that. I know I've shared it in some of my other videos, but bacon is very expensive. I have it when I had all my kids home and we had 6 people. I would have needed like 3 of those little pouches of bacon that were like $8 to $9 a piece back before inflation hit, and who has that kind of money? So if you go to like Walmart or maybe your meat market, usually at the end of where the sausages and bacon are, you'll find pouches called bacon ends. There are various brands, and what they are the just like remnants of fabric, the end of the bacon. You get some huge pieces of bacon. They're irregularly, some of it's irregularly cut. Some of it is chunks of fat with like, it almost looks like ham. But in this fashion, you can have bacon with your eggs and stuff. I save the big chunks that almost look like ham for recipes like this, pork and beans. This is a good thing if you've made breakfast the night before for supper and you have leftover bacon. It's great to put in this. So about 8 to 16 ounces, a cup or 2 cups, whatever you got. If you don't have any bacon at all and you have bacon grease, you could add 1 to 2 tablespoons of bacon grease, and you're going to get the flavoring, and that's what you really want in here. You're going to get the flavoring of bacon. So I'm going to add all that to the pot. I'm going to be adding 1 to 2 tablespoons of garlic powder. If you have actual garlic, which is great, about 2 cloves, and then I would still add about a teaspoon of garlic powder. Mix that all in there. About a half a tablespoon of salt. Just liberally sprinkle the black pepper, probably, and also a half tablespoon, I'm sorry. Now I leave my hamburger grease because it ends up not being a lot. As you see, it's cooking away here. At this point, I want to transfer it to my big Dutch oven here. You're going to need 48 ounces of pork and beans. And I've got like 219, I think they're 0.5 ounce cans. And I also have 1 jar of my homemade pork and beans. I'm adding to there, so that's like 8 ounces. So that would be a smaller jar of pork and beans. And this isn't exact, it's not an exact science, so whatever you got is good. In addition to the pork and beans, we're going to be using 30 ounces, that's 2 15-ounce cans of any kind of bean. So you can do chili beans, is what I'm using. You can mix and match chili beans and black beans or whatever you got. If you've only got pork and beans, then just use more pork and beans. So if you know, the idea is you want more pork and beans than any of the other beans, but mix and match. That was 48 ounces of pork and beans, 30 ounces of chili beans, or whatever kind of beans you got. If you've only got dried beans and you want to use them in this recipe, you will have needed to soak and cook them already, so they were ready to be used. So that if you're using dry beans, it would actually take a little bit more preparation. In addition, you're going to be adding 2 tablespoons of Worcestershire sauce. And I probably say that wrong, but you know, what are you going to do? Also going to need a 1/2 cup of brown sugar. And here's a good idea for using, I hate when I weed out my garden and I got all this little tiny, you know, stubs of carrots. I hate throwing them away. I just can't do it. So usually I bring them in, I dehydrate them, and I have a big container that I put my dehydrated carrots in it. Or I tails and tops them, or tops and tails them, and I put them in soups. But this is a good recipe to dump all those in. So we're gonna put, I had roughly a cup of the weird skinny little carrots that I've weeded out of my, you know, when you have to thin them out. That I thinned out. You can leave the carrots out. You can use sliced carrots in a can and cut them up into smaller pieces. You can leave them in slices if you want. The last thing you're going to need is about 12 to 18 ounces of barbecue sauce. And it can be whatever kind of barbecue sauce you want. Now I'm going to put the lid on my Dutch oven. Then I'm going to put this in the oven for 45 minutes. Since the carrots need to be softer, so I'll pull out a carrot and test it. Everything else has been pre-cooked, so it's just a matter of the blending of the taste, and your beans that have been canned are also pre-cooked. So everything's just sort of simmering and cooking together. So we're going to put this in the oven for 45 minutes at 350, and then we'll be back to look at the finished product. And there we have it. Very good. So that's the cowboy beans. You may have a different recipe. It's a very versatile recipe. You could use any kind of beans. Lima beans, kidney beans, black beans, whatever you got. Change it up. You just want to have more pork and beans than anything else, just for the flavor. Plant-based meat, you could use probably ground turkey might work okay. You're just not going to have, I think the better flavor is probably going to come from the hamburger. So it's up to you. You could use some meat substitute. Tofu would probably work okay if it's beef flavored. Those are the alternatives. So this has been Cowboy Beans with Canterbury Trails Farm, and we thank you.